Okay, so I'm trying to do at least one build a week on camera. Um, I'm a little short on time this week because I was working on my new desk setup, which most of which you can't really see the differences here, but I totally redid everything. So this is just going to be kind of a basic bitch build. With one particular goal being, this is not an RGB tempered glass, anything like that. It's a Corsair case. It's a nice Corsair case. It's basically the same internal capabilities as their low-end tempered glass cases, just without the tempered glass. So one of the things I'm doing with this build is I'm trying to figure out if there's an interest in these types of builds. So I'm going to be selling this a little bit cheaper than normal. And I want to find out if by not increasing the value of the system by throwing in tempered glass, just tempered glass, I mean, it physically costs me upwards of $100 extra for a basic used tempered glass case and a full set of RGB fans for it. I instantly jumped the price of the system by upwards of $100 in most cases. So I want to see if this build, if there's an interest in ultra low cost, if I can get the price point down low enough, but the specs high enough. So it's not going to be insane high end, but it's decent. It's going to be a Ryzen. It's going to be a Ryzen 5 1600X, although the chip on the board that I received it with is a 1500X. It's got a decent Gigabyte X370 board. It's got, actually it's Gigabyte, I didn't even think about it, it's kind of Gigabyte themed here. We've got a decent Gigabyte GTX 1070, just a low-end variant of the 1070. 16 gigs of RAM, which at the levels that we're planning on running this at, this doesn't need 32. This is intended as a low-end gaming desktop. Power supply is a little higher end than I normally use in a machine like this. It's a 750 watt. That's just so that, well, it's because I got it with the build. This was basically a complete build that I've stripped and cleaned. There's going to be a few changes. I added some fans. I received the build with one fan. I've got tons of these really nice non-RGB fans. I figured on a build like this, I'm receiving those non-RGB fans faster than I am unloading them. So I was like, you know, I might as well just load this thing up with nice Corsair Fantex. So it's going to be 4 Corsair 120s and a single Fantex 140 up in the roof, 4 Corsair 120s in the back, 1 in the rear, 140 in the top. So just in bog standard cooling configuration. This is not a high performance CPU. We're just going to use the generic AMD cooler. It's going to have, I received it with this Samsung 970 EVO 250 gig SSD. So that'll be our fast storage, and then we'll have a hard drive or something in there as a secondary. Corsair Vengeance LPX, basic good RAM. So let's, we've taken a look at the parts. Let's jump into the build and see how it goes. Okay, so let's get started. So, as I have been doing a lot lately, I am going to do, let's see, how do we pull, oh, it's a simple. So this case pulls off. I don't know if you can really see them. I think you should be able to see them. So right here, you can kind of see these plastic things. This doesn't have any tabs. It literally has these tension thingamajiggers. We'll be a little bit careful. Just use kind of a sharp plastic thing there. But it'll just pop right off. So we're going to do, come on. We're going to do the cooling setup first. Come on, buddy. There you go. Okay. Now it looks like the I/O front panel stays on when you pop off the front. I didn't realize it. I thought it was going to all come off at once. I'm glad it didn't, though. That makes my life a little bit easier. So let's grab some screws here. And, you know, oh, there's my screwdriver. And we are actually also going to want some zip ties, which I totally forgot. Usually I remember to grab those. Okay, got like 100 of them here. Should be plenty. Always buy your zip ties in bulk. Okay. So, we're going to start with putting our fans in. And I think, let's see here. 1, 2. I think we have enough fan headers on the board to run all of my fans either all off the board or fairly minimal numbers of whatchamajiggers, the fan splitters. Ooh, and you know what? I didn't completely clean that one. So I try to, because I store so many fans, I try to clean the fans before I store them, just so that when I grab them for builds like this, I don't really have to think about it. I can just grab them and use them. Okay, let's actually put, let's use that one for the middle. These are not set up the way I'd like. This is dumb. Okay, we may end up doing... I don't dig that. Why did they do that? They've got it set up so that it's a fairly comparatively short wire, and then it comes up the top with the way you would normally mount them. That annoys me. That really annoys me. We're gonna have to use an extender for this one. Maybe a couple of them. I'm glad I bought a bunch of extenders recently, because suddenly I'm gonna have to use them. And screwdriver. Just me, or are those different? These fan blades might be slightly different colors. That's okay. We're shooting for a budget build here. So my goal with this one is to not add anything that will make it so that I have to charge more for this build. I want this to be an ultra low cost option. I'd really like a low to mid 200s build if possible. So we're just putting the fans in. Now I could put them internally, but and that would hide some of the fan logo stuff, but it would make it so that there wasn't really enough room for the amount of airflow that I would want, because the fan, if you put them on that side, the fan frames would block any of the airflow that would otherwise go to the fan. And so that's not really what I'm out to do here. I want maximum possible airflow. So for anyone that sees this that wonders, it is true that the, oops, I didn't realize that was up so close. The amount of time and effort I'm going to put into this build on video and the game demo videos and stuff that I'm going to do on this one, oh wow, that one has a really long fan cable. Isn't that special? Let's see here. So we're just going to try to slip it through the hole here. There we go. Yeah, the amount of work I'm going to put into this system is going to be totally not justified by the amount I'm going to charge for it. And that's okay. This particular build, I'm really only doing for the purpose of generating content for the channel. Like I said, I'm trying to get to the point where I do at least one build a week, even if that means that I got to just grab a random low-end set of parts. And you know what? To be totally honest, these types of builds, they're a great way to unload the extra parts that I don't need for specific builds, while also simultaneously providing somebody with an ultra low cost build. Because these types of builds, once I'm able to actually calculate the cost of the parts, the actual sales price of these types of builds typically is pretty dang close to at, or in some cases even slightly below cost. Okay, so that's our 4 fans, 3 fans on the front. And then we're going to do one on the back. And to be fair, this is not a high, this isn't a really high heat system. We're really actually probably going overkill on the fans, unless the buyer upgrades later, which you could. I mean, it is an AM4 board. You could say later, okay, I've got a solid system to build on. Let's upgrade to like a 5800X 3D, or more likely a buyer of a system like this, I would think, would be inclined to upgrade to something like a 3700X. 3700Xs have actually gotten pretty cheap. I think you can get 3700X. I've seen them on the local market as low as $60. So there's certainly budget. Let's do this. There are certainly budget CPU options. Sorry about mic noise. I'm adjusting the mic a little bit here so it's a little bit lower so I don't keep bumping it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, there are absolutely budget options if you want to do a budget CPU upgrade. Oh, there we go. Okay. I don't currently like the price of the RTX 2060, but I think in a year, RTX 2060s might drop down low enough in price to justify putting one in something like this. It just depends on the deal you get. really shooting for a build here that's going to cost basically barely more than the price of a mid-level GPU. Like even a used lower mid-level GPU. Like I'm shooting for a build that's going to cost like the price of just the GPU. So, okay, so we've got our cooling installed. So let's do next step, which is going to be our motherboard. If I can find, is that damn thing? Seem to have misplaced the, oh, there it is. I/O shield. Okay, so it's funny. It's actually a nice, for what it is, this is a nice little case. It's a shame everybody just has to have RGB, has to have tempered glass now. So, putting in our I/O shield. So, oftentimes on builds like, or on cases like this, I really will just toss the cases. Unless the case is in really good condition, like this one, and I actually have parts on hand to really... What is that? That is odd. What the heck? Oh. Okay, I forgot this. It had a thing screwed in there. This, the way this is set up, it doesn't use the full set of standoffs. Okay, so put in our board, and then so as I said before, this is mostly a rebuild. So this is one that I received. What's going on there? Oh, that's interesting. This is one that I received mostly configured how I would have wanted to sell it in the first place. And then I'm just gonna, I just wanted to clean it out, clean it up. Dang it. Handling the parts is one way to rip a system apart that works, put it back together, retest it. It's kind of one of the ways that it's kind of almost a stress test. That's one of the reasons why I actually like if I end up with a build where I do the build and then I end up in possession of the build for, like, most of these builds that I'm selling sell within a couple of days of listing, but occasionally I get one that lasts a little bit longer, and those are the builds where I can test it a little more thoroughly. This one I might do a little bit more extensive testing just because I would argue that come on. Some of these ones in the corners are hard to get, especially when your stupid screwdriver has demagnetized. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I may have to use a splitter or a fan controller or something. We'll find out here in a minute. Okay, and then let's put in the 1600 that I got sitting here. Oh, you know what? Actually, we're going to leave it because that's actually a 1500X, whereas this is just a 1600. I think that's probably more appropriate for a gaming themed build. Okay, and then let's see if... Let's start with this. Actually, I didn't need to run that cable that way. So we want to put this cable on here. And the way you do this is you just kind of tuck your cabling up under the fan itself is usually how I hide it. I guess it's not a tempered glass build, but I like doing all my builds the same way. I think even buyers that aren't buying, glitzy tempered glass RGB build, I think those buyers still appreciate a good, clean, high quality build. And it doesn't really take that much more time to do either, so it's like, yeah, you might as well do it. Okay, so let's put in our power supply. So we're going to do the typical fan sucking in from the bottom type placement. And let's get some screws here. Am I running out of screws? Actually, I think this is working out to be a pretty solid entry-level set of parts. So this particular build, I'm not really expecting to make any money on it. The seller that I bought the parts from for this one, the situation with this particular build was that the guy had already given me a absolute smoking deal on some other parts and another build. And so it was a situation where, as kind of a, I don't know if you want to say incentive, thank you, whatever you want to call it. I didn't want to, he told me how much he wanted for it, and it was more than I actually wanted to pay. But I said, okay, look, that's more than I want to pay for those parts, but, and sometimes you got to do this. It's like, but you gave me a smoking deal on the rest of that stuff, so I'm not gonna haggle over a couple of dollars when you just saved me hundreds, if not more, on this other stuff. Like, I don't like doing that. It's bad taste. It's one of those things. Once you deal with enough people, you kind of learn. Sometimes you just gotta suck it up. Man, I was hoping those would fit. Guess not. Okay. So let's power supply first. And that's, again, when you really get into this and you start meeting people and interacting with people, you'll learn that sometimes giving a seller, a good interaction with you is worth more than saving a couple of dollars. For those of you that are fairly new to this, you're going to find that there are people that you deal with that, like this particular guy was in the tech industry, and it's entirely possible that I'm going to have access to more deals through him. It's entirely possible this was a one-off, but when you meet these people that are in the tech industry, and it can be worth it to give them a good experience so that they want to call you up and say, hey, you know, you bought the other stuff from me. We had a good experience. Let's do a deal again. And sometimes you'll find that they'll like a couple of times a year, they'll set you up with stuff that seriously is money makers. I've had times, shall we say, seasons, where I was basically being fed by like one or two really good sellers that provided me with good, profitable product at a reasonable price. Like, I've had times when it's literally been one or two sellers were like paying my bills. So, you know, okay. The way that this case is set up, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm trying to pull the 8-pin through. The way that this case is set up, it's a little bit on the tight side. Okay, I think I got it. What the heck is going on here? Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. I think I got caught on the corner of the fan. So then oh, that's actually going to be easier to put in than I thought. I thought that was going to be a bitch to put in, but it's actually not. Okay, so that goes in there. What the heck? Man, this thing's really getting caught up annoyingly. What the heck is going on? What the heck? Okay. There we go. Okay. Now, what the heck was going on with that? That was weird. Okay, so what do we want to do next? Maybe just put our... Normally I wouldn't do it this early, but it's such a simple build. Let's just do... Let's do our GPU right now. Put you in. We're going to run this under here. So, yeah, probably run it. Probably start down here, and if it's better to put it up, I'll do that. Yeah, no, I think that's going to be just right. So, drop our GPU in. There we go. And let's put that in. That's a light enough GPU. Won't have to worry about sag. And I did not even think about this. It looks like we've got a fairly basic, so we actually won't need... Let's see what we got going on here. So if anyone's watching this and they're seeing that I'm using a 1070, in spite of the fact that NVIDIA announced EOL end of life on these, don't be afraid to use a card like this. I've been using GPUs that are not, quote, officially supported in systems for honestly years now, and on rare occasion you can have issues. I don't think I've ever seen it happen though. So we're just trying to tuck everything out of the way here, just make it look okay. I don't like free hanging cables. Cables that don't have any sort of management, tie down, any of that on them. I really don't like that. I just think it's... Shit, I hate to say it. Unprofessional. Okay. Let's do one more. So I'm just going to keep that tied up and out of the way. And then... Dang it. Oh, come on. I guess we're going to have to do it that way. That's not going to work. Nah, you know what? That's fine. That's fine the way it's sitting now. So we'll do that. Flip it over, tie that down. Tie that down. These are actually really heavy-duty PSU cables, too, comparatively speaking. And typically, you can get away with fairly tight cabling on PSU cables. You just want to be a lot more careful when you're working with data cables, USB, USB-C, that kind of thing. But for these obvious, like, fairly heavy-duty cables, it really doesn't matter. You can zip tie them down fairly tight. I mean, you don't want to go too ham on it, but you can zip tie down fairly tight without worrying a whole lot. Okay, and then... Okay, so that worked perfectly, so we just put one in there. Trying to speed this up. I want to get to the point where I can do these things in, like, I don't know, an hour? Like, I want to be able to do the complete builds with video and everything in an hour, so these aren't 2 hours. But I guess the fact that they always seem to take 2 hours, that kind of tells you, I mean, maybe they are just 2-hour builds, is what it is, you know? Okay, I believe that USB 3.0 front panel was over in the corner there somewhere. Let's see, where the heck did they put it? So it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's right here. I really, in most cases, I don't like having it here. Every so often, you know what, I think I'm going to put in, so this is something I like to do when they do that. I like to, so you want to bend a zip tie. It's going to be kind of hard to show this on camera, but we're going to, you're not going to be able to see this. I apologize. But what we're going to do is we're going to zip tie the, if I can get it to work. This one's kind of throwing up a bit of a fight. But I want to zip tie the USB front panel header cable to the, here, maybe you'll be able to see it a little bit. So see how I got this? So what I'm doing is I'm holding that down right there. It isn't necessary. It's just a housekeeping thing. You guys, any of you that this is not your first viewing of one of my build videos knows that I'm a kind of a fiend for good housekeeping when it comes to my builds. Okay, so that just kind of holds it down in place like that. Okay, who's next? Actually, let's, it's not a hot chip, so I'm not going to use any particularly high-end compound on it, but we're just going to put compound on. And then, oh, where did I put that thingy? The back plate fell off. I know I put that thing somewhere here. Where the heck did it go? Oh, there it is. There you are. So we're gonna put it on the back side here. And I think I'm just gonna hold it with my hand in place. Let's see, how do I want to do this? It looks like, okay. So this is not going to be a hot running build. Everything that we've got here, what is going, oh, it's not screwing in. What the heck? Why didn't that go in? That should have been screwing in. Okay, I think it is now. Okay, cool. Okay, I think we're all good now. So this is not going to be a hot build, as I was saying. Is this not going in either? Come on. This thing is really making life difficult. Okay, there we go. Okay, bam. Building a computer is not, like, mentally difficult. Come on, you two. But sometimes getting cabling and heat sinks and stuff positioned right can be quite a pain. Okay, so I believe our CPU fan is the top one up here. It's kind of tucked under that 140 I installed now. Okay, bam. And then we're going to put in the memory, which, does it specify? Okay, it does actually. 1 and 2. So it wants them in the red ones. This looks like, there we go. Okay, so we've got that. And then I think we're going to do, okay, so we got that one in. Got, so it looks like that one right there might need a splitter, but the rest of them we're going to be good on. So we're going to run, that's for the long. Now that's for the big fan. We're just going to pass it through one of the top management holes and just plug it into this fan header right there. Now these are all fairly quiet fan models, so we shouldn't have a lot of fan noise with this thing. It should be a pretty quiet build. Let's just tie this to right there. We're just going to make a short. Come on. Okay. And we'll just zip tie that in place. Ah. So let's put that there. Okay, so that's in place there. So it's actually shaping up to be a fairly nice little low-end build. Let's put you over here. I do wish more builds had holes right in the upper part there, because typically HD audio is pretty much always in the same place now, and that's in kind of the, yeah, just like this one, in this corner over here. Let's, yeah, it'd be a kind of a pain to, let's see, maybe do the same thing with this. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to put a single one of these in. I'm thinking just right here in the middle. So you got really, to do this right, you got to really, okay, there we go. You got to bend the zip ties just right to do it. It's kind of dumb, but whatever. This is what separates the professionals from the amateurs, is stupid stuff like that. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to do another one, but that's going out. I don't need to do another one. Just you're good. Stop thinking. Okay. So then, let's see how far. So I'm going to need to use, actually, you know what? Let's just do this. I've got this fan splitter. It's a 3-way fan splitter. These are low performance, comparatively fans. So let's just do this. Let's run that down there. Let's run it into the system fan 3 right there. And we'll just run the 3 fans off of that. Okay, bam. Bam. And good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna have to kind of keep that tucked out of the way. I think I'm gonna end up putting a hard drive here, but once the hard drive's in place, everything will just kind of sit where I want it. So should be good there. Okay, let's continue. So we are running the power for front panel connector plugs right now. And these are actually going to be fairly easy to do because, well, would have been, let's see here, power LED is top. Let's see, reset should be that one. This one is actually somewhat unusually clearly labeled, which is kind of nice. Let's see, which is which? Minus, plus. It actually has the individual pins labeled, which definitely is nice. Plus and minus. Okay, so that's that. Then, let's see here. Let's see if we can do something to keep these in one piece and out of the way. And some of these cases just don't have just don't quite have the cable management that I'd like. Like, they've got cable management, but it's somehow always in just the wrong place. Okay, so we're kind of just setting this up so it's just one thing here. So by kind of zip tying it all together, it'll make it so that it'll just kind of stay out of our way. Okay, so then I'm thinking, that screwdriver. So I'm gonna put two of these hard drives in. I've mentioned before, I have like an unlimited supply of these things, or at least pretty darn close to an unlimited supply. So what do they got going on here? Hoping I can... No, I want this up like that. Can I do that? No. I don't know if I can put it... Ooh, can I do it? I might be able to do it the way I want. I want both of... Yeah, I think I can do it. I want both of the... I want the connectors on that one facing that way and the connectors on this one facing that way, so I can use the one SATA strand for both of them. So these are essentially like add-in giveaway drives. I put them in all of my systems. They're not bad drives though. Everybody always thinks, oh, we're in the age of SSD. Hard drive is evil. Can't use hard drives for anything. But to be honest, I have found that even fairly modern higher-end games, like I run Cyberpunk off of these all the time just fine with fairly minimal of the types of issues, transfer rate issues and stuff like that that you would expect to be related. Can I do it? Oh, I might not be able to do it. Let's do this. Let's see if I can kind of tuck it under. Come on. I might have... Ooh, do I have just enough space? I think I might have just enough space. But... Let's see, I might not be able to... Okay, I think that's not going to work. My initial idea of how I was going to do this... But we might be able to just tuck all of this stuff down. Yeah, I think we can just tuck it all under there now. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, coolness. Okay. Yeah, so now we're just trying to make sure everything just all stays kind of grouped together. So then, the other one, we'll have the hard drive facing that way. And that should simplify how we run the cabling. Man, I've got a bunch of spare 2.5-inch drives sitting around. I'm kind of tempted to throw some more of them in as just kind of a little value add. When I have lots of spare parts that I have like an unlimited supply of, I like to give buyers that stuff just so I can kind of throw it in as just a little value add type thing. Plus, with hard drives, personally, I like to have all my data kind of segmented. So, you know, one drive for each thing. Okay. So then we're going to put that one in. So yeah, now, if I did it right, we should be able to just run. That's actually, what does that have? 5 on 1? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on 1 strand. That's quite a few. Usually they've got a max of 3. Okay, so that goes there. And then this. Tuck that out of the way. And that'll go there. Come on. So now it's just kind of a exercise in finding ways to tuck things out of the way. Okay, so there's that. And then now we can just run the SATA cables up to it. Although, I'm kind of tempted. I'm not the only one that's had issues with this either. I've seen a few videos from other people talking about how Windows likes to put things in places you wouldn't necessarily expect. So let's start with verifying that it even turns on. So let's okay, do I have everything? I think we got everything. It's not quite what I want, but it is what it is. I'm not going to be able to make that perfect on this build. It just, like I said, it is what it is. So what we're going to do now is just a basic power on and make sure I get like the basics. I like to do just a basic power on as part of the initial setup, just so I know that everything is working the way it should. Okay, where's my other? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there it is. I was like, where'd my other cable go? Okay, there we go. So yeah, we just need to make sure we get our basic video out. And that'll also let me make sure that the whatchamajigger, the I/O is working properly. Just make sure I got everything set up right. Okay, so power on. Comes on. That's a good sign. And it is fairly quiet. That's a good sign as well. And actually, one of the ways that you can tell that stuff is working with these, kind of a quick and dirty way, is working? Oh, it's working. Okay. We've got BIOS. So that's all I wanted for now. I just wanted to make sure that we got to the basic BIOS output stuff, and then we can worry about everything else later. So one of the ways you can tell, just press your power button, especially if you're not getting video, you just press your power button once, and if it turns off with one power press, or one press of the power button, just a quick, like, click, that's typically a good sign. It means that you're not frozen before the BIOS. Typically, if it's frozen on something before the BIOS, it won't actually shut off. You'll have to press and hold the power button. Not having to press and hold the power button is almost always a good sign that things are generally working. So, I'm trying to think. I think we've got basically a full build here. Let's unplug. Let's put our front panel back on. Looks like the previous owner, the original owner, didn't have any fans on the front of the case, so it's actually fairly dust-free. There's a few minor scuffs, but nothing major. It's in good condition. And then, yeah, so we've got a nice clean build here. I am going to turn the camera off. I'm going to run Windows, and then I'll be back with the last final cable runs and stuff like that, and we'll call it a day. Okay, so now we're going to finish up. It's actually been nearly 2 hours since the last video left off. I had some insane Windows setup issues. I wasn't able to actually solve the problem, and I eventually just resorted to, I was like at my wit's end, okay? Like I was at the, like, toss the board, chip and RAM combo and do a whole new build with a new set of parts point. And the last thing I could think of was, well, maybe there's some weird setting that I just am having trouble tracking down. I tried resetting the BIOS, I tried all the normal stuff, and the last thing I had that I could think of was, well, maybe if I load a new BIOS. So I'm left with two possibilities. One is that there was some weird setting that I just wasn't aware of, which is possible. I'm more inclined to think, though, that what we really had going on was some sort of Windows 11 compatibility issue, and there was something with that original BIOS that just didn't get along with Windows 11. Honestly, that's my best guess as to what was going on. It was something odd, though, and it took me a couple of hours, but I've got a fully functional, properly working system now, so I'm happy with that. So one of the things I'm going to be doing with this build, I don't know if I'm going to video it or not. It depends on how well it works. I'm going to be testing my new ultra-wide OLED. Specifically, this cannot run, not just a question of gaming performance, but it physically cannot drive 3840, 1440 off of HDMI, and this particular monitor has a garbage DisplayPort implementation that's virtually worthless. So I may mess around with how good or bad scaled 3840 by 1080 looks versus the native on the monitor of 5120 by 1440, because without supporting the HDMI 2.1, I think you have to have even an RTX 2080 won't support it. I think, from what I was reading, I think the newest or the oldest card that supports it is the 3080, which it's not relevant to the sale of this machine. Nobody, I really hope that nobody running a machine like this is going to be trying to run it on a 1440p 5K 1440p ultra wide. It's not the appropriate use of the system, and if you're gonna use it that way, you're gonna be disappointed. But I do want to see, just for shits and giggles, you know, we always want to mess with stuff that shouldn't work or shouldn't work well. So I'm just curious. I've seen some games, some older games, like Battlefield 1, for example, runs fairly well on older hardware like this, approaching 4K. So I'm thinking that some games might actually be able to run just fine. But it's more a curiosity thing than it is a function thing that I expect to work. So again, I may or may not put that on YouTube. It depends on how busy I get, how desperate I get for something to upload to. I'm not sure how busy I'm going to be this week. So okay, so that's our completed build. That's our, sorry if you missed anything there, that's our completed cable management configuration. It's clean. It's not quite as gorgeous as some of my tempered glass builds, but it's clean. It looks good. It's generally acceptable. So I hope you guys found this interesting, and thanks for watching the video.